Electricast.
Why wait to see if you'll get something you like this Valentine's Day when you can go to BlueNile.com and find something you'll love? Whether you're looking to treat yourself to a little winter sparkle or show a galentine how much you appreciate them, Blue Nile offers a wide selection of high-quality designs, expert guidance, and free 30-day returns for the ultimate peace of mind. You can even design your own jewelry. Right now, save up to 50% at BlueNile.com. That's BlueNile.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's Missing the Point, and we are talking about the Boston Celtics. This show is Missing the Point, brought to you by Ray and Dave. But from now on, henceforth, until something changes, this is now the 82-0 show. Until such time as there is a change to that once the season starts, which I don't see happening. I don't see it. I'll be honest, Ray. I don't know. I don't see us losing the game. I looked at our schedule, and I think we're going to win all of them. That's just how I feel generally as a sports opinion talking head.
No, as we should. I want this to do well in the regular season, but obviously the goal was hosting that Larry O'Brien Trophy at the end. So that's really all we care about at this moment. But yes, I definitely want an enjoyable regular season, and once again, not obliged to see 82-0. But but like I said, we talked about this off the air. But yeah, we are extremely excited. As we should be. There's a lot of stuff to talk about going into this new season.
Yes, I'm very excited to talk about all of it. I think I have it in my head that, like, for instance, Brad Stevens was talking about, this could be lip service. This is like kind of what all GMs say, but he was talking about how the energy in the Auerbach Center when he's gotten all the guys back in has been noticeably improved, and everybody seems to have gotten a little bit better. Now, if that's true of the Jaylen Browns and Jason Tatums of the world, we're in for a very exciting season, because I still think that these guys have room to grow, and they're already the best wing pair in the league. But I do like it when the officials and the people in charge of the organization come out with stuff like that, because to me, like, I don't think you just say that. I think that you actually notice something when you're in the room, and we needed a change. I mean, this is something that Celtic fans were saying without actually saying in, like, the quiet part out loud. We needed a change in the leadership. We went down to the Miami Heat team that we were a lot better than, and like on paper, talent wise, I don't think anybody would disagree with that. Maybe some Miami Heat fans, but we went down to a team that we lost the mentality battle to last season. And I think what needed to happen is that the leadership needed to fully finally go to Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown as the two best players on the team. And I think that's what's happened here. That's now their team. You have other guys that show leadership potential coming in with Porzingis, Jrue Holiday, especially on the defensive side of the ball. But this is now their team, and it's sink or swim with them. We have a lot to talk about. We have a lot to get through, because obviously the Jrue Holiday signing is the biggest thing that's happened in Boston since the Kristaps Porzingis signing, I guess, which we also did a show about. But we'll talk about everything here. I see the collective energies and attention of the Boston sports community starting to shift now coming into October after that shellacking that the New England Patriots received on the other end of the Dallas Cowboys. I think everybody's like, well, at least we've got the Celtics. The power rankings of the four Boston sports teams are probably Celtics 1, Bruins 2. Would you say Red Sox dead last? They won 78 games this year. I mean, I don't know what the...
Yeah, I mean, it's probably tied 3-4 right now.
Sure,
with Red Sox,
sure.
Which is crazy. But
essentially, I mean, the Bruins being in flux, in sort of a strange. Yeah, they made a run, but where are they going to go? Basically, everybody's like, the Boston Celtics are the best team we have in Boston right now. So We're here to talk about them. I'm going to read you off a list that you actually sent me. Thank you for doing all the prep work for this show, of additions and subtractions in the personnel of this squad. And then we're going to get into it. So obviously we had a Jrue Holiday, Kristaps Porzingis, Sam Cassell, you put it as an addition. As in the coaching staff, in the coach's room, which I think is extremely important, and I think we should discuss that. Charles Lee, Oshae Brissett, Jordan Walsh, Dalano Banton. We lost Marcus Smart. We lost Malcolm Brogdon. He apparently was not super thrilled with us anyway. It didn't seem like a good situation anymore. I'm not sure the extent of that, but the rumors were not pleased to be included in trade talks. Well, I'm sorry, Malcolm, but you got to stay healthy if you want to, not be shopped around. Robert Williams, we'll talk about losing him. Grant Williams, I'm happy to talk about losing him any chance I get. Mike Muscala, I thought he was going to do more. He didn't do shit. So it is what it is. And of course, Blake Griffin, who I actually wouldn't be surprised if we saw re-sign on some sort of two-way contract or veteran minimum contract or something along those lines. Last year, I think we had this myth of a backcourt, and this is where I really want to get started with you. I think we had this myth that we had the best defensive backcourt in all of basketball. Now, in the regular season, that statistics could back that up, potentially at any given time. The players we had on paper, I think, looked like we should have the best defensive backcourt, but I think that they started to sort of believe their own myth a little bit. And I now look at our backcourt and I think, I don't know, maybe it's not defensive player of the year Marcus Smart, but it's certainly tenacious. Jrue Holiday, I've made no secret of it on this podcast, is my favorite guard in the league. I can't actually believe we got him. It's like, I feel like it's a fever dream. I love watching him play defensively, especially. Do you think that we're going to have a better group of defending guards this season than we did last season? If not in the regular season with overall defensive numbers, because I think we're going to be playing a very offensive game, at least when it counts in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think because we're not going to see Jrue take the gambles that Marcus took at times. But
different kind of defender.
Yeah, exactly. Taking the gambles is what made Marcus. So I don't want to take away or diminish his game in that regard, but I think because Jrue is a little more sound in how he defends, he's more passive. He's more he's more active in the passive lanes. I think that's where he's going to serve to be his best. I do think him and White are going to be very good on ball defenders. Once again, Derek White was a second team, all defense last season. So I think that we build off that with him. So yeah, I do think in closing situations, which is something I think you and I love to talk about all the time. Who's going to close? Who's going to do this? Who's going to do that? So we're going to be very excited to see Holiday and White out there at times, or if it's just Holiday or if it's just White at times, being that lead guard, looking to shut down who's on the perimeter. So I think because the talk about defense seems to be different already, even in these press conferences so far, even what we saw, even like a month ago going into the season, they look like they're looking to put the emphasis back on the defensive side like they did it 2 years ago.
That seems what the players wanted, right? It seems like the players wanted to do that because Joe came in and sort of started changing the emphasis to scoring. And when the scoring dried up, I mean, you don't have as much fundamentally sound defense to fall back on. And it seems like the players themselves are the ones that want to play D, which is atypical of a basketball unit. Usually it's the coaches trying to whip them into shape and actually get them going, right? If you had to explain to somebody who never watched the Celtics before what it is to have gotten Jrue Holiday, especially as how it worked out. I mean, to me, I'm kind of thinking of it in my head as like almost a straight swap with Marcus Smart. You know what I mean? Like it's basically, I think, an upgrade on just Marcus Smart himself, with the addition of also Brogdon leaving. But I mean, his health was in so much question already. I don't even know what impact that would have. But if you were to explain to somebody what kind of a player Jrue Holiday is and who they're getting, in comparison to what they've watched before, what would you say?
So it's probably, I would actually probably go really old school, and I know, and that's because of how my mind works. But there was a player that came long before you and I were born, but he was actually traded here after we got swept by Milwaukee, ironically, and his name is Dennis Johnson. I think it could be that type of deal where we get a guy that's later in his career, had already won a championship, but it helps us win 2 of the next 3, right? And that's what happened with Dennis Johnson. And the reason why I say that, because a lot of fans, I feel like up here, that don't want to watch the new NBA, they'll gravitate to what they saw with Larry Bird and Muscala and Parrish. But even though that Celtics team had already won, they needed somebody that was going to be that lead guard that could help Danny Ainge at that time be that good of a backcourt at that time. But if I'm going more modern day, I'm thinking, I am going to compare him to Marcus Smart, right? I feel like he's Marcus Smart, but with less, what's the word? I guess less ego, if you wanted to say. I feel like that's
I see
the
what
word.
you're saying.
less of an ego there, and I just think that he is more sound. Now, there are some turnovers that's there. He can be turnover prone if we're going to be, we want to make sure that we're giving, biased or unbiased commentary here. But yeah, other than that, yeah, I would say, like I said, old school comparison. I would say he's more like he could be a Dennis Johnson, and then just New Day, the guy he just replaced, and Marcus Smart. I feel like he's somewhere in between the two, because Dennis Johnson was really good offensively, although he was a beast defensively. I think he's really in between those two type players, and if we get any of that, or more than that, then yeah, we should be very happy come June.
Well, it's just exciting to see, we kind of don't know what we're going to get. I think that's the exciting part. It's for better or for worse, we're going to see a new look Celtics. And I think that was necessary, obviously built around the same core that gets you there, but you need to change the pieces to get them to where they're going to be. For instance, I mean, Jrue Holiday, the thing that you and I have talked about this many, many times when sort of lamenting the Celtics woes, the things that they're not so good at, especially in crunch time situations. We have a lot of really good spot up jump shooters, like a lot of guys that can shoot the ball that you would trust, like Al Horford. If he's wide open from three and he gets the ball and he's in his spot already, I'm happy to see him shoot the ball. Obviously his efficiency took a fucking nosedive in the playoffs last year, but whatever. I still think he could be a threat there. Obviously Jason Tatum, obviously Jaylen Brown, Kristaps Porzingis. Now, if he gets to his spot and you find him with a good look, he can hit a three. He can hit mid-range shots. The thing that Jrue Holiday, in my opinion, brings, and this is the kind of guard I love to watch, is he can shoot off the dribble. He can shoot. He can catch and shoot. He doesn't need to. He can shoot. His release is a little faster, I think, than most other people's on the team, and I think that he's going to be able to shoot kind of moving balls. You know what I mean? And because I think movement has been an issue for us. Like when we start to sort of when a Tatum play breaks down, everybody knows what this looks like. Every Celtics fan knows what this looks like. When a Tatum playmaking situation breaks down, it becomes like he's going to put up a dumb shot. He's going to put up a low efficiency, mostly covered shot. And I think if there's a guy coming around the corner at 1,000,000 miles an hour, ready to catch it and just go right up with it because he's bought himself a half a second around a screen, the teams were doing that to us a shitload last year, but we weren't doing it back to him, and I think that, and Jrue Holiday did it to us last year in the playoffs.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and I'm watching, I'm just like, oh God, that guy's so good. I love him. But I wish he was on our team and not their team. And I think what you're getting then is a new dimension to the offense, a new thing. That being said, the pick and roll, we've been talking about what this team is going to look like if we actually affordably and effectively run the pick and roll with Kristaps Porzingis and several other guys. Leads me to my next question for you. It seems a lot of talk, press conference, Brad giving interviews. There's a lot of talk about Jason Tatum sort of transitioning into a new hybrid sort of point forward role. Maybe not that extreme, but he's going to be playmaking and running the offense more. I think that obviously that's, somebody's going to have to, right? We lost Marcus Smart. He was bringing the ball up for us. I think the numbers are 70% of the time or something like that. So yeah, Derek White, no problem. Absolutely no issue with him being our guard. And I want to get into talking about if he's going to be our starting guard, if it looks more like Jrue will, and it's going to be Al out there to start, and what our crunch time lineups are going to look like. We'll talk about all that. But Tatum is the point forward. We'll just use that terminology for just for ease of just for brevity, even though it's not quite the same thing as what that term means. Tatum is, as a guy playmaking for us, I have been advocating for years. I think he's improved his playmaking. I think that's there for the world to see. I think there's some question marks about it in certain situations, decision making wise, but I think reps at bats is what gets you better at that. So if we right off the bat just start to put the ball in his hands and have him look for guys or, shoot when necessary, I think we could be really, really dangerous, especially with the options he has around him. So can you talk a little bit about what that looks like from your perspective? If you think that's a good idea, or if you think it's going to be more like, let's get Derek White involved more, which I think will happen anyway, organically, for his confidence, for everything. Should we start the season like that?
Yeah, I mean, I think for Derek White, I remember last year he started off extremely hot last year at the beginning of the year. And once again, I feel like I've on this show and just even on Twitter, I've led the Derek White bandwagon. I'm a big fan of his game. I just think, to me, Derek White makes quick decisions. That was, to me, that was the calling card when he came over, and that's what he's done since he's been here. So yeah, I expect more of that from him. Far as Tatum goes, I think that we've talked about it on the show at length about wanting Tatum to take over more of that playmaker responsibility. And yeah, I do think when you're 6'9", of course you should be able to. You're gonna look over the defense. He I hope that he watches some videos of Vince Carter, because Vince Carter is probably the best person. They call it a skip pass, where you basically you're on one side of the court.
Yeah. We never do it.
Yeah, Vince Carter was the best I've ever seen.
Because it opens up the entire defense. They can't get over fast enough. Yeah.
Right.
We never do it. It's so strange.
Yeah. So maybe this year it'll be different. The reason why I say that, and we had talked about it when we prepped for the show, but Jrue Holiday last year was 45% on catch and shoot threes. And I think that if he understands spacing, I think Tatum needs to operate more out the mid post. And I think that's where the playmaking stops, because obviously teams are going to still run zone against us because we shoot a lot of threes. So if Tatum is operating in the mid post, I feel like whoever draws to Tatum, you're going to have to build to the corner. And then that's where Holiday will be at. That's where,
Jaylen Brown.
Yeah, Jaylen Brown, those guys will be.
So Porzingis.
Yeah, Porzingis was that. Yeah. And it's like that. Sometimes I forget. I'm like, damn, like they really did get.
It's an embarrassment of riches.
It's crazy at times when they do play the 5 out and they have Porzingis out there. But just from the Tatum standpoint, to answer your question, I just feel like when he's going to operate in the mid post, I feel like you give him a few options where he's able to either shoot it right there for 15 feet, whether you see someone draw to him from the corner, and then Holiday or somebody cuts in from they call it the Princeton cut, and someone gets a layup that way. So there's many options that could come from Tatum operating out the mid post. I just hope that they actually go to it, because it's something I've said and we've said on the show. If you're able to score from every level, you're much more dangerous. So I will say that until the count's going, that's the point I will stand 10 toes down on. If you're able to score from every level, it makes you a lot more dangerous. So hopefully see more of that this season.
Yeah, I mean, just getting into talking about like the style of basketball that they're probably going to play, because it is sort of speculative at this point. I mean, obviously, the games of the core guys and you watch them for long enough that you know what they're going to look like, but they should be adding stuff, I think, to their offense. And I think in an ideal world for me, we've talked about the pick and roll ad nauseum. I think like any two pair of the starting 5 can run the pick and roll, with the exception of maybe Horford. I don't know if I would love to see him doing it. I think that
he's a pick and pop guy.
I would like to see him maybe fade if we're in a situation like that. But I also in the regular season don't want his body getting banged up on screens and stuff as much as, and it's kind of same goes for Porzingis. I want to be able to do it, but I don't want to do it like all the fucking time. And I do think that we're going to play a lot of 5-out ball, like you just mentioned. The thing about the 5-out ball that worries me is I don't want them to get super static doing that. Like you still have to go find your outside spot by messing with the defense in the first 10 to 14 seconds. And talking about showing guys tape of older players, like I'm sure he's seen it, but I would love to sit Jaylen Brown down and run him through 200 hours of Ray Allen running baseline to baseline. Just corner to corner, or not baseline to baseline, corner to corner, like from, go to his spot. The defense has to react because he's hit 2 from that spot already. And then he gets you lost in the sauce going underneath the basket. Right. And Ray was an expert at that. Like he was just still, even when he got older, and it's why he ends up in the position he ends up in to take that step back 3-point shot for the Heat, is because he's always just moving in and around there, and he just loses his man because the guy's like, shit, I just bumped into the center. You know what I mean? Like, and if you do it the right time, you find yourself open in the corner. Right. And then Jaylen has 2 options. If they're playing 5-out ball, you can shoot, or you can go next man up, next man up, next man up. And it can end up back in the other corner potentially if you play that kind of Brad Stevens, like let's pass the ball incredibly quickly. Or like you just mentioned, the skip pass, send it right back over to the other corner with aggression, because I know Jaylen can do that shit too.
Oh, for sure.
And if there's a tall guy standing there with his hand up in the air ready to get it, then bang, another wide open shot. Because I think that kind of basketball is about really high percentage looks. Like you're trying to get and you have so many shooters on this team. I'm just worried that we're going to fall in love with it. We need to have a plan B. And if we did have a plan B, what would be your ideal world of okay, the 5-out's not working, the shots are not falling, what do we do?
I know you're gonna love my answer. I'd pick a roll with Porzingis to death.
Yeah.
You're not gonna stop
Porzingis and Tatum.
Yeah,
it doesn't even need to be with a guard.
like all day and all day. That middle pick and roll once again, we we're always going to give credit to the players of the past. Just watch tape of Stockton and Malone.
Stockton and Malone, the best pick and roll ever run in basketball.
They ran it every play, whether it was in the middle, whether it was on the left side,
like every time.
They ran that play every time, and you couldn't stop it.
No, you couldn't.
So you would think two guys that are in the Hall of Fame, the guy that has the most assists all time, right? You would think, you know what? Let me see if I can run this play 5 or 6 times a game,
right?
And you get the offense going. So yeah, I would love to see that. But once again, we're gonna have games where we get extremely hot. And is it going to be 5 out because Porzingis is on fire?
Yeah, I mean, look, if the shots are falling, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's going to happen in some games, and I can't wait. But I don't want it to happen enough to, like you said, where they become so reliant that they don't go down to the post. Now, once again, Brad has talked about it, Joe has talked about it. Because Porzingis has had a lot of moments in the post the last few years, they do want to get some post ups for him down there. So I'm hoping that they actually implement that into the offense.
But we didn't have anybody that could run a real post game before,
Right, exactly.
I'm not saying he's going to be KG, but I mean, just a little playmaking from the post. Like Al would kind of do it, but when you're asking him also to like run the floor and space the floor, it's not really the same thing, like you can't have it be as effective. Also, Al's coming up against guys in the post like Joel Embiid. It's like, well, what are we going to do? Like run a fucking post game through Al Horford right now? And we're playing against Joel Embiid. Like that's ridiculous,
Well, speaking of him though, now
that's delusional, motherfucker. Jesus Christ. It's like he hasn't been watching the news.
To say, and once again, and I get like, what is he supposed to say? Yeah,
I know.
And I get it, but it's just like, dude, like just say, hey, on paper, yeah, they look like it's better, but I can't wait to compete, and that'd be fine. Can't wait to compete. Once again, he's a bad man.
He's great.
He's not no scrub saying, I get it. So, but it's like, dude, like just, get you a couple of cheese.
Yeah, but I mean, all this stuff that's about to go down with Harden, like you can just see how ugly it's about to go.
Oh yeah,
I'm
here for it. I can't wait.
It's just, I mean, it's like I never really consider the 76ers like any sort of a threat, to be honest, like in the modern era and also in the previous eras. Like,
no, I was like, you missed what I said though. I was like, I can't wait to trade Al for him.
Oh yeah, right.
I'm like, no, listen, that's a joke. That's the pipe. That's not gonna happen.
At that point, just hand us the trophy. We don't have to play this season.
Oh my god, yeah. Next in the room. But
on that note,
Porzingis drawing out Embiid, though, I feel like when we're playing guys like him or Jokic or whatever, like because they're going to be guarding Porzingis, like you can't play center field against us,
right?
Like you did at times last year or prior. So I feel like now with Porzingis drawing them out to 15, 18 feet, now Porzingis actually can pass really well from the post. So can Al. So when they're out there, there should be a lot of basket cuts, and they should. The Celtics should be top 3 in the league in points in the paint, because of the fact that they can draw everybody out.
Yeah, and also we're gonna play games where we're longer than everybody at every single position at this point, with the exception of like a few centers. We're gonna play
Denver, Philly, Milwaukee.
Yeah, but Denver, Philly, Milwaukee, we're still gonna be longer than them, like 1 through 3 at least. Like it's still Derek White versus like it's not like they were saying. Okay, so I wanted to get into this. Like, basically, we're going to talk about who has the best starting 5 now in the league. And I in order to do that, I want you to name what you think is the Celtics starting 5 right now, because it could be Derek, Jrue, Jalen, Jason, Porzingis, or it could be Jrue, Jalen, Jason, Porzingis, Horford. So which one do you think we're going to like start to run with at least at the start of the season?
I want the first one.
I want Derek White to start too.
Yeah, I want the first one that like Horford could be off the bench.
Situational for crunch time, but to start.
Right, yeah. Get him. Yeah, I think to start. Yeah, Horford should be off the bench. I do know like against the Phillies and Denvers and Milwaukee's of the world, I'm pretty sure they'll go Porzingis, Horford, unless there's a back-to-back.
Yeah.
We know Horford won't play back-to-back games, so that's fine.
But we know how to play the double big though. We've been doing it with Robin.
Right, but I
think it's going to look even better now.
I don't love. And maybe a little different because now both guys can actually shoot. With Rob, it was limited because he can. He was going to defend. But unless he was a threat at the rim, he wasn't going to be much of a threat elsewhere. So, it is what it is. So maybe a little different that way. And I can't wait till Sunday to see that. But yeah, I do think I just feel like Joe will go with the comfort zone and do the double big to start, but because you're trying to preserve those guys health wise, I just feel like though that lineup should be staggered. So I just feel like either Horford, you're gonna start Porzingis anyway. So I think that I think Horford should come off the bench, in my opinion. But it is what it is. But yeah, it should be Holiday, White, Brown, Tatum, Porzingis.
So that essentially the other starting five. I think there's a big drop off after us in Milwaukee. Right now, roster wise, on
for sure.
For at least they're your top six. So you take that starting five. Let's go with the fact that with the idea that Derek White's going to start. Now they're going to match up against a pretty intense Milwaukee Bucks starting five. And correct me if I'm wrong here, because there is a couple of like maybe it's this guy, but it's probably going to be obviously Dame at the one.
Yep.
Grayson Allen at the two.
No, he was in the trade.
Oh, he was in the trade. So who? Malik Beasley?
Yep.
Okay, so Malik Beasley, Chris Middleton, Giannis, and then Brook Lopez.
Yeah.
So I think that there's places they have advantages in that matchup, and there's places that we do. I think specifically the wings, like Middleton and Malik Beasley, are going to get fucking murdered by Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. That's just like, I just think that's a fact. Middleton does good on us. I know he does, but like in a playoff situation, like that's how we win that series, don't you think?
He hasn't been what he's been the last year.
No, those injuries are starting to stack up.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate. I think he's really talented, but it's just like he's just not where he needs to be, which is why I think they went out and got Dame. They was like,
of course,
second guy, and then once again, he's relatively a very good three. He's a very good three guy.
Yeah.
Which is fine, but I just think at this moment he can't be the closer that he was for them, a couple years ago when they got the championship. So no,
for sure. But I think that Dame Giannis combination is going to be super fucking scary. Like we're talking about the pick and roll over in Boston, and I like they might be able to run an insane pick and roll because like Dame can do everything. The thing, the thing that people don't realize about Dame, and I think that maybe it's a market issue from where he's been playing. Like you haven't seen like a fuck ton of deep playoff runs from him. Like, he hasn't if you're a basketball fan, what Dame Lillard is, what his game's all about. But like for the people in the back, can you talk about what he's bringing to the table that obviously he's an upgrade on Jrue Holiday. I'm happy, very, very happy to get Jrue Holiday because I think he's an upgrade on Marcus Smart. I think we have a better starting five than them overall still.
Yeah.
I think that's the reason we became the favorites again once we made the Jrue Holiday trade. But obviously Dame Lillard is, one of the best point guards in the league, if not one of the best point guards to ever play the game of basketball. So this is a guy, in my opinion, who, players like this are so rare. Like the play can break down and he can still kill you. He's clutch as fuck. Like he's incredibly, incredibly clutch, which I think that was missing. A good deal of that was missing from the Milwaukee Bucks. Because I think Giannis is great, but I think what happens to him is he's like had to do everything by the time that clutch time rolls around, and he's just like exhausted. And I think that happened the year we went to the finals 2 years ago. I think that's how we beat the Bucks, is we got him tired. And you could see it, by the end of it. But with Dame out there, it's like he can always kill you. He can hit a buzzer beater it right in your face, like no matter what's going on. If you got two guys on him, he can kill you. He's the kind of guard that is he's more than a guard. He's a player. So he can kill you from anywhere. So what are we worried about now, Ray, when going to play the Milwaukee Bucks? Like, how are they going to kill us, and how are we going to kill them?
Dame getting 60.
Yeah.
It's just like,
Jrue can guard him though. Jrue can guard him.
Sure. I mean, listen, because for those that want to watch, I mean, granted, I know it was 5 years ago, but obviously Dame was in his prime. Watch the New Orleans Pelicans series against them at 2018, where Jrue held his own against them, and they swept the Blazers. Sent them home in the first round. Him and Rondo was a hell of a backcourt at that time. With AD and the crew over there. But yeah, with Dame, man, it's just the dude literally could pull up from half court and it's a good shot. Like we no longer look at his shots to say, damn, he pulled for 45 feet. Like that's a bad shot. There's not he is open from half court on down, like literally.
Yeah.
And I just think, to me, he extends your defense so much that you literally have to call out coverages long before he gets to half court, because if not, he's going to break it down. he doesn't even really need a full pick and roll. He just give you a little 1-2 dribble, do a sidestep like Tatum. He's a smaller version of what Tatum is at that level. And that if it's within 5 minutes or less in the game, I trust him to make play after play after play. So you're just gonna have to meet him because he's going to deliver. He's going to deliver. He's never played with someone like this before, so it's going to be easy for him.
It's gonna be fun to watch. I mean, from a neutral perspective, it's gonna be fun to watch.
It's gonna be easy. It's gonna be easy for him at times. He's gonna say, "Man, I should have left earlier." That plenty of times. He's like, "Damn, I should have left earlier." Because
I respected his loyalty to Des for as long as it did last.
Yeah. I mean, I also respected getting 200 mil a few times from him too. I respect
you getting your bag. I respect you loyally getting your bag. Do you think we're gonna finish in both them in the regular season?
No, but to me, I don't think it matters. I think we've been
home court.
The one was out there home court, like we've seen Tatum go.
We suck at home anyway in the playoffs.
Yeah, no facts. But I'm saying, but also too, I've seen enough of Tatum healthy that when it comes to an elimination game, whether it's on the road or home, he's gonna show up. I'm not concerned about that. My thing is, can they just defend enough? And once again, now you got some new blood in here. It's not the same team. It's not the same rhetoric that was being spewed. So hopefully that's where the difference, occurs. But yeah, to me, you're looking at, with all health, with all health available, you're looking at the 1 and 2 seed though in the East.
Definitely.
But I said, ironically, I still think Philly is 3. I do. I don't think that they're
not Miami. I mean, there's question marks over the kind of the unknown factors in Miami.
I'm saying, like, if Embiid plays the way that he can play, like he did last year, like there's no reason for him not to be a top 4 seed.
I just think that's a tough call because it's like right now you don't know how all the drama is about to unfold with Harden. What's going to happen there? You don't know what Miami's going to look like because all their guys are unknowns, but they could get 3 more guys that you've never heard of come out of nowhere and play really fucking well for the whole season. Like that's just what they do down there.
Yeah, you got Cleveland that could be a top 5 seed.
Yeah, Cleveland. I mean, depending on how the kind of guys that make leaps in Cleveland, they've got a lot of talented players that I'm jealous of. And they have our number in the regular season too. It seems like that seemed like this.
New York got a number last year too.
New York, I'm not 100%. I'm not 100% in on their roster. I think that like
I'm talking about just against us the way they
play. Against us, yeah, they had us for whatever fucking reason. We were just losing to these very specifically built teams. But I feel like New York, it's like be careful what you listen to when you listen to what people talk about the New York Knicks, because a lot of them might be New York Knicks fans and they're just like aggressively hyping up their team because they got one good player and that happens to them once every like 15 years and they're just like, yeah, my God, this guy's gonna be amazing. And he's a guard, so it's like I'm just not that. I'm not crazy, and he's like kind of a traditional guard, so I'm just not that worried about it, especially against the other heavy hitters in the East. Like they're around a bunch of hatchet men now at this point. If they're in the West, I mean, the West has gotten so much weaker over the last few years, and like, I mean, I'd say it's still probably Denver. Are like, would you say they're still in your head the scariest team out of the West? They have to be, right? I mean,
Denver, yeah.
I mean, I just mean matchup. I mean matchup wise for us, like.
Until Jokic says, I want to live in Serbia on a farm and just
which might happen because he does not happen here.
Like, right, but he until he says I don't play no more. Like he's gonna dominate.
Yeah, because they walked it. Like they walked the championship last year.
Yeah, Murray's healthy. I love Michael Porter Jr. I think he's
really good.
He's really good.
But who challenges them in the West now? The Lakers?
They can if they're healthy.
They're still healthy. They're so old now, though.
They're healthy. Yeah. You got
Austin Reeves. I mean, that's a good.
Yeah. Like, I mean, honestly, and I know we've been saying this the last 4 years, but if the Clippers are healthy coming to the playoffs, that's a team that can challenge. Because
we say that every year.
We say it every year, but I trust.
We think Russell Westbrook's going to be the difference maker.
I trust Kawhi in the playoffs here if he's healthy to say, okay, let me remind you that I'm still that guy. In that moment, once again, if healthy.
What about Phoenix?
Super talented. So Phoenix. Oh, forgot about that. Phoenix as well. I'm excited to see what
State.
Golden State. So Phoenix, Golden State, Dallas. Those are all in the mix there.
Dallas, I still think, has weaknesses in their roster that's going to show up, and it's going to be disappointing to watch Luka have to try to do fucking everything again. Because here's the thing, that the way that, like, we're talking about the West, and it's sort of starting to crystallize for me. It's like it's boom or bust in the West, right? Like they could be really bad. Like the Western Conference could be really, really bad this year if like none of those teams, because it's all like in the East, you got the Celtics and the Bucks, right? Like they're gonna be good. It's whatever happens, they're gonna be degrees of good. It's just a matter of like what those degrees are. And then you have that tier 2 where it's like you said, you still have Joel Embiid, who's easily the best 5 in the Eastern Conference, just like dominating all those matchups.
Right.
And then you have that is also true of Denver in the West, but everyone else that you just talked about, there was some sort of, if this happens, then this will happen. If this happens, then this will happen. If they stay healthy, if this guy comes through, if LeBron and AD stay healthy, if Kawhi and PG stay healthy, and if Russell Westbrook doesn't put up 17 fucking the most inefficient scoring game you've ever seen in your life, other than maybe a Marcus Smart on a bad day.
He figured it out for them though. He was a lot better for the Clippers than he was with the Lakers. So
I think he's finally accepted his role, which is
right. But that's also scary because there's no one that plays harder than him. So
right.
He was the reason why they was even in that Phoenix series last year.
Yeah.
He made the plays on defense. I was like, wow, like, okay, so he's still showing that I can still do this at a high level, and it just won't be in every night.
Yeah. No, for sure. I mean, yeah, I think they also fucking waxed us last year when we went to LA. I went to that game. It was fucking depressing, and it was because it was like one of the few games where all their guys played. Right. Yep. And they were like, oh, look, we can like really play tonight. Like, let's get after it. So they are scary, but again, it's a lot of like, if this, then that. But I mean, that's true of us too. Like Kristaps Porzingis, there's health concerns. I mean, you guys have brought up the very good point that he has played more games than maybe you thought, but just in a market where his like name wasn't getting mentioned. So, he played 60 or 58 games or something.
Yeah. I think. So can I address that? Because this is to those that have been getting at me and talking.
I mean, knock on wood, obviously.
Yeah,
anybody can get hurt, it's like.
Yeah, anybody can get hurt, but I'm just
no, please, the floor is yours.
So the last 3 years, so 43, 51, 65. So for those who don't know, I'm a math teacher when I'm not doing this here. But simple math, right? 43, 51, 65. That's an increase of 22 games, right? So he's played more games each year the last 3 years. The guy that got shipped out to Portland, meaning Rob, once again, we love Rob.
12, 11.
Played 35 games last year.
Ugh,
that's 30 more games for a guy that's super injury prone. And Porzingis has played 70 games twice, 60 games, I think, twice as well. So it's once again, people are building a narrative because they want to cope with us getting a guy like Porzingis and getting a guy like Jrue. And I say, sit back and watch the greatness unfold because you're going to be really upset when this team wins 65 games this year. I'm very bullish. I know we joked about the 82-0, but I think this team wins 60 or more games.
I mean, listen, man, I have to agree with you because to me, here's what I think we do in Boston. And I think I have a little bit of a unique perspective on this because I'm not a fan of your New England Patriots.
No.
The thing that Boston fans do is they sort of conflate their sports in a way that maybe other fan bases do, maybe other don't. I just have first-hand experience of the Boston fan base, where they say things like, "You're losing Marcus Smart. That's so much leadership to give up. The intangibles, da-da-da." Now, while that's true, what you have to remember about basketball is it's not football. It's the goal of basketball is to get the best 5 players that you can possibly get on the court, talent-wise. The game, as the great Bill Russell said in those Uncle Drew commercials, the game is and always has been about buckets. It's about scoring more than your opponent. Like, if you have the best guy on the floor for a playoff series, good chance you win that playoff series, right? Yep. Like, good fucking chance you win the playoff series if a guy is just absolutely showing out, right? You can, in the modern basketball era, you've proven that you don't even need a big 3 anymore. You can go get a big 2. You can go get the 2 best guys and put them on the floor together and that complement each other well, sure, but really they just need to be the best guys on the floor. They'll figure it out from there. Their games will do the talking from there. It's not there's some complicated aspects to basketball and building a basketball team, but it's not quite as complicated as putting together a full football squad, because realistically, only 5 guys are out there at any given time. And they just need to be scoring and stopping the other team from scoring. And the second one isn't even really that important, if we're being honest. Like if we're being 100% honest, it's about getting your shots to fall. So it's percentages and probabilities, and that is spoken to by talent. So what did we do? We got rid of Marcus Smart. We got Jrue Holiday. Jrue Holiday is better than Marcus Smart. He's a better basketball player. He's more efficient. His scoring is a lot less frustrating to watch, I promise. And his defense, if we're being honest, is comparable. I wouldn't say it's better, but it's comparable. It's different, but the level can be hit the same, especially running an elite system defense like we do in Boston a lot of the time.
Game 5 last year?
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly.
Mark going up, and who jumped up and
exactly my point. Jrue Holiday.
Yeah. So and then they got came back with a chance to tie it, and he ripped it out of Marcus Smart to end the game.
There it is.
That's
we'll get that guy
of what we were seeing.
Yeah.
It's like, that literally the changing of the guards. Literally.
Yeah. I see what you did there. Wow. Amazing. We have some more stuff to talk about. That would have been a great thing to end on, but we got some more things we have to visit. Point being, I just need to tell the Celtics fan base something. If you didn't already know, you might have. But Derek White, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Kristaps Porzingis, and Jrue Holiday. That as a 5 is the best starting 5 you've seen since the 2008 final series. That's the best starting 5 you've seen. It just is, right? So if you don't know, now you know. All right, like you can lament the days of Isaiah and how fun it was to watch that Wizard series. You can lament the days of 2010. If KG didn't get hurt, you can do that all you want. I'm telling you right now, this is the best starting 5 we've had since we were fucking in high school. All right, and if they go win a championship, I'm going to say it's a better team. I'm just warning you right now. I'm going to fucking tell you that it's an on paper better team if we go win a championship. Unfortunately, you can't say that until they go get a ring, obviously. But I'm right there. I'm primed to start saying it. So it is right there. So on paper, we're doing great. Unfortunately, there are some question marks about the depth. So you've put that in the agenda today, and it is something I've wanted to talk about. We're going to need to go get another big man. I mean, we were already in need of another power forward, in my opinion, to replace Grant Williams. As much as I think he was more a net negative, we needed to replace his minutes, and we hadn't done that yet. And we have also lost Rob Williams now. So, and turned him into a guard, basically. So we need 2 more guys, I think, that are over 6'10" and or at least can play like it. So what do you think we're going to do there? Do you think that there's like Wenyen Gabriel, I think you brought up, like there's things that we can.
You actually, to your credit, you brought him up over the summer. I think we had talked about.
I mean, if what they're saying is true, if the training camp reports are true, then he might actually be able to rim protect. So I mean, he played well in the FIBA championships. Which I think got him some eyes. From had a chance to work him out. Pretty fun basketball to watch, isn't it? Like it's kind of it's very different. I enjoyed it.
Big time. And I guess he's from the area too. Or I guess he's from New Hampshire or whatever. He played in New Hampshire. So I guess.
I love that. I didn't know that.
Yeah, no, I trust me. I've been listening. I've been watching a crazy amount of unhealthy amount of tape of everything.
I love it. Please, let's hear the scouting report.
It's pathetic, but no. So you talked about it, but I feel like just watching his tape, like he can do enough of what Rob did last year. Once again, Rob is a freak athlete, so you're not going to get the rim threat that he was like that. That's rare. That's what made Rob special. But the hustle is the same. The rebounding is about the same, per 36. And I know that's the analytics stat, but I mean that's he was off the bench, so you have to use those type of stats. Sure. But yeah, he is someone that can give you 40 to 50 games, hopefully, if not more. He is 6'9", so he's not 6'11", 7 feet. I know some people were trying to put that on. I'm like, no, he's 6'9". Like
But Rob was 6'9".
Yeah, Rob is 6'9", exactly. So
I just think, but he was.
I think Gabriel can be that. Personally, I think we talked about this over the summer, but it's relevant to this conversation. Go get Dwight Howard. Go get him.
I would love that. I would absolutely love that.
Would be perfect here.
I would love it. That would be great.
Yeah, I think you're gonna go to state too,
and get Blake Griffin back, and then like look at the veteran presence we have on the team. And those are the kind of guys you want around.
I'm here for it. I would love for them to get Blake back, but yeah, if you bring back Blake, I'm here for it. If you bring Dwight Howard in,
let's get all the guys that were good in my favorite ever era of basketball. Yeah, put them on the fucking Celtics.
But the thing about Dwight Howard, like Dwight Howard, can do everything Rob did, and I mean now he's older, obviously, but Dwight Howard is still really athletic. He's 37 years old, and once again, he knows his role now. And
but you're right. Yeah, you're asking for 12 minutes from him.
Right, exactly. And what the best thing about Dwight Howard at this stage, he's going to stay in shape. It's not like he's going to be out of shape like him and Al. Or
he does look kind of weird compared to old Dwight Howard. He kind of looks like he got sick.
More muscle bound on top for sure. But I do think that he is someone that would be an excellent fit here if that was the case. I do think Willie Cauley-Stein is also available, if I'm not mistaken. So he's got Willie Cauley-Stein 7'1". So if you want to get that out here as well, but
I love the idea of Dwight Howard because it's like, yeah, okay, he's not like the kind of guy that you immediately think of as like the kind of veteran leader that you would want to bring in, but just the idea of a kind of a consortium of players that were from that era. Like if it was like him, Blake, Al Horford, Sam Cassell, like guys just sitting around, like knowing what it is to play at an elite level and be one of the best at their position. Those are guys that were all at one point, close to one of the better players in their position. If not, like, I mean, Dwight Howard was the best center in the league for 3 years, at least. Right. At least. So, I mean, the game kind of passed him by and he had to change his game around. And obviously he lost a little bit of athleticism. He's still athletic though. Like you said, I like the idea of it. I like the idea of making the bench guys that can contribute, but also a bench that you like looking at and going like, yeah, they're saying the right shit. Like they're saying the right things. There's no Grant Williams being like, all right, gather around everybody. Like, let me tell you about how we're going to win this game. And fucking Marcus Smart rolling his eyes at him. You know what I mean? Like you watch that and it's just not good. It's not good optics for like team chemistry, And I don't know if you saw, there was a video trending because Grant Williams on his new team in practice tried to go for an alley-oop and like fucked it up. And they were
I saw that. Yeah.
They were putting it next to a video of Tatum like dunked in one of the playoff games last year, and Grant was like calling for an alley-oop, and they were like, "How come you didn't throw him the oop?" And he was like, "I'm not throwing Grant Williams a fucking alley-oop, dude. I'm not doing that."
He said maybe if we practice it, but he's like, I'm never throwing that.
No, yeah. And he went up and like yammed it in Grant's face too. So it was like, okay, cool.
And if you watch the tape closely, you can see Grant saying, "Oh wow."
But that's the thing. Like, I mean, Grant, all the best to him. He's off to greener pastures. Maybe not greener, considering we kind of have the corner of the market on that. But he's off to better lands where I don't have to fucking hate him week to week. I have to say, like, the thing about him that annoyed me was like less the fact that he was like closer to Draymond Green in like the quadruple fucking zero games that he was in like, really impactful minutes when people were making those comparisons. But really, it's this thing of like, it was really highlighting to me that nobody wanted to step up and be a leader when it was Grant Williams, like fucking flapping his fucking gums in the huddles when we were losing games. Like everybody else had their heads down and they were fucking quiet, and it's annoying. It was really, really annoying. And it's like Grant sort of became the lightning rod for that, but really that wasn't his fault. Like he's trying to do his best to galvanize the team. It just would annoy me that it was him.
Yep. That's why I backed off. I said, wait a minute. The fact that he's the only one showing fight like this, and
it's a bigger problem for the rest of the team.
That's ridiculous.
And I'm just hoping that with Marcus gone, I mean, yourself, like everybody's been in this situation where it's like you like and respect this person. Like you've had a Marcus Smart in your life, at your job, like in your friend group, whatever it is. Like you like and respect the person, but you don't necessarily think that they should be the leader of whatever's happening. And but it's like you can't take it from them because you can't really like articulate a reason why. It's just you feel like you would do a better job. So you have to wait for an opportunity for that to really come full circle. And it just would have caused problems if Tatum and Brown were like, all right, Marcus, shut the fuck up. Like, we're doing this now. Like, it wouldn't have been good.
I'm still, especially with Jalen.
I bet yeah, because you remember him and Jalen.
Tatum's more reserved, but
right.
JB,
but him and Jalen were fucking about to come to blows at one point in the locker room. That story leaked, right? So obviously Marcus wasn't letting that go. Like, he wasn't letting go of the reins on that one, right? So it needed to sort of happen organically. And I'm just hoping now that these guys do really step up and start to lead the team. But I like to bring the point full circle to your point. Dwight Howard and Al Horford, Sam Cassell. Like, I love the coaching additions. Like, I really, really love it. We brought in Sam Cassell and Oshae
Charlie's the other coach.
Oshae Brissett. I just love that. I love the coaching room, and I think it's going to make me hate Joe Mazzulla a lot less, because I think that he's going to be getting better advice or any advice at all. I mean, he didn't have anybody. He was really, his ass was hanging out in the wind, you know?
Yeah, but honestly, so take a listen to he just did a show with JJ Redick on Old Man the Three.
I heard it.
And then even his interview. So he seems way more relaxed right now.
Yeah.
So that might be what we needed. Like, he talked about, he was like, look, and he was like, man, he's like, I had a lot of things on my mind. And you could tell that he was thinking, like, it was
I think he had to do too much. I think he was given too much responsibility.
I think he knew what he wanted and had to do, but because everything was moving like a million miles an hour, it was like, okay, will it ever slow down? So it looks like in this off season, with him talking to Cassell, talking to Lee, talking to Brad, talking to Mike Zan and the rest of Celtics ownership, is slowed down. He seems more comfortable. He seems more open. And I'm just like, well, if that's the case, look out, because if he's comfortable in his role and he's hearing and he's getting advice from Cassell and from Lee and the rest of that crew, this may be, because once again, despite all that happened, they still won 7 more games last year than they did with Ime. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like that to me, But now once again,
I just wonder what like that full.
Just call a timeout though. That's all we want. Just call a timeout.
Yeah, just call a timeout. Just call the timeout. The problem is too, and this is like obviously been a point that's been beat to death, and I do want to stay positive, and I do want to clean slate it with Joe coming into the year, because I think he deserves that. I think that I think the players seem to have his back. I think that the fact that he has a coaching staff that's competent now or exist and like can open their mouths now. And like, I wanted Sam Cassell as our head coach, but I'm happy to have him just in the room. Like, I want him there. And actually, there's upsides to him being the assistant coach based on what my understanding of the basketball assistant coach's role is, because if he's freed up to not have to essentially like manage the game, to not be like worried about, like you said, like when to call timeouts, like the momentum of the game, whatever, he's freed up to recognize matchups that are favorable for our team and one-on-one, man-to-man coach the players, right? Like, that's what I want to see Sam Cassell doing. I want to see a shot of the sidelines where he's sitting next to a different guy every time, like it's cut over to him. And then you watch that guy. And Sam Cassell has a great basketball mind. Like, he just does. Like, I saw him do exactly what I'm talking about. I saw him do when he was one of our guys in a suit, one of our players in a suit in 08. He would say some shit to somebody and you'd watch them be like, oh, okay. And then they would go out and then they would get somebody. Like, they would take somebody one-on-one and they would get him. And it's like, ooh, I think Sam Cassell came up with that. This is why our fan base loves him. He didn't fucking play any minutes in the playoffs in 08. Like, the reason our fan base loves him is because we all watched him do that. We all watched it. And then the players would come out and say that this is what he was doing. He's gotten even better as a coach, I would imagine. And and he could do the same thing for Ime. I'm just for Ime. Wow, Freudian slip. He can do the same thing for Joe Mazzulla, I mean, yeah, you said we won 7 more games. I just wonder how many more games we would have won if Ime had that full season playing the basketball.
Oh no, I mean, it probably would have been in the low 60s to mid 60s. But what I want to add on to that point you just made, and it didn't dawn on me until the hirings happened, and obviously now with the Jrue Holiday trade. Yeah. We really didn't have anybody at the player level or the coach level that had won a championship.
Right.
So when you're literally, it's damn near the blind leading the blind almost, even though they had been to a final.
Because it's all theory. It's all theory. Yeah. You can only take theory so far. You need somebody.
Right. Exactly. So now you got guys that have actually proven the theory, right? Mm-hmm. And it's proven to be true. As someone that's going to be on the floor, someone that's a 3-time champion can sell. Sometimes that was Charles Lee was a champ there with Jrue Holiday because he was there on the roster with them a few years ago. So they're going to have plenty of stories. They're going to have plenty of scenarios they can go through, what coverages to go through, what to go through in this scenario. And once again, that's what Jrue Holiday talked about at the presser today. He was like, look, he was just to tell them, hey, it's not it's not easy to get over that hump, but I hope to offer some assistance as to what they need to do, to get there. So that to me, because we were so frustrated with how things have been the last few years, it really hit me. I'm like, damn, we haven't had someone on the roster as a player that won actually since Aaron Baines. Aaron Baines won with San Antonio.
Yeah, but
and everybody loved it. Actually, I take him back too if he's healthy.
I would definitely take him back, or Tice. I would take Tice in a second.
That to me, excuse me, because he the city embraced him right away too. But I just feel like that's something to me that wasn't stated enough, that having someone there that won a championship, and then wants to also give that information back. Because sometimes you have players that won it but don't want to give it back. But to have players that, or have a player that won, have coaches that won, giving that advice and giving their perspective on things is huge. So hopefully that pays dividends this season and beyond.
You know what I really like to know too, and it's just because, to your point, it's like I don't necessarily want the Sam Cassells of the world giving speeches to rouse the team. I want the Sam Cassells of the world to recognize the situation, get in Jason Tatum's ear in a certain context, and go like, "Yo, this is you. Go lead. Like, get in there and go say some shit. Like, this is one of those moments, right? Like, that's what he should be there doing, as opposed to getting in there and giving fucking Coach Carter speeches or whatever. Like it's just the little things. Yeah, exactly. It's the little things. It's like you saw what we didn't have was the nuances in the coaching room, like the little things that you can see the Ime Udokas of the world had, before all that shit went down, that the Greg Popovich's had, when Minyama was like, Pop finally yelled at me. I feel like I'm in the club now. Like Pop fucking yelled it. And it's like, yeah, because he can yell at fucking anybody, because he's like the fucking best coach ever. So it's like, that doesn't necessarily have to be your coaching style, but it's the little things. It really is like so much. We say it all the time. It's such a cliche, but so much has to go right for you to win a championship. Winning a championship is fucking hard. It is fucking hard. So I want someone in there with the kind of attention to detail that Ray Allen had about like what time he was getting to the fucking gym. You know what I mean? Like, this is like, I want to know what fucking music they're listening to in the locker room, because if they had fucking Dancing Queen playing in the locker room last season, that's a problem. I want fucking,
I can tell you it's not.
Okay, great. I mean, it's like let's start with Eazy-E and just get more hardcore from there. Like, I want everybody to have the fucking mentality of like, we're here. Like, this is us. Like, we're coming for everybody. Like, I think in the past it's been like, we just need to make a couple of adjustments. Like, we were so close to winning it in the finals. Like, we just need to do this little thing differently. It's like, fuck that. One game at a time, one basket at a time. Come for everybody. Don't let everybody have your fucking bros back. Don't let anybody fucking come to your house and fuck you up like we did a couple of times, too many times last season. Like, defend your house. Like, do your best on the fucking road. Like, try your heart out, but it's gonna be hard. Like, there's some. I looked at the schedule. There's already some fucking gnarly West Coast trips in there. That those trips need to.
Yeah, I trust them on the road. I just don't.
I do too. No, I genuinely do too. We had a really bad run last year where that was like very, very annoying to me, because I paid money to go to one of the games. But the home stand needs to get better. And it needs to get better in the regular season so that we can see it pan out in the playoffs, because the fact that we were all more confident in a game 4, like, we're going to get one of these games on the road. Don't worry about it. And then we would come back to the Garden and we'd be like, I don't know, man. Like, that happened like every series.
I mean, that's crazy to say, but
that's criminal though. That's criminal. Like, that can't be the case. And the problem is, I think, really honestly, I know this sounds like I'm guessing here, but I did watch the games and you were there. It just, to me, it felt like when the crowd got on their back, they weren't man enough to fucking handle it. Like, a Boston crowd they'll fucking slash you up. Like, you're getting fucked up by them if they're not happy with you. And you need to have the fucking shoulders broad enough to fucking stand it. But it used to make them kind of shrink, and they need to figure that fucking out, because that crowd's not going anywhere. I mean, tell me if I'm wrong. You were standing there for 90% of
so game 7 was a perfect example. Like, I remember, like, at halftime, like they were getting rocked.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was crazy in there. Like fans was just, from the F-bombs to, break the whole fucking team up. Y'all fucking suck. You're trash. You're this. I mean, you name it. Calling everything but the names. Once again, nothing, no racial slurs, but it was. I almost would have felt better if they used racial slurs. Like that's how.
I feel like I mean, tell me if this is true. In the modern game, like you're getting fucking chucked out for life if you do that right now, right? Like you're gonna get found and you're never coming back to the fucking team.
Yeah, when Brooklyn came back, they had me behind. This is before Kyrie got traded to Dallas. And we smoked them that night. But I was sitting behind the bench of Brooklyn's bench, and I forget what the guy said to the Brooklyn bench, but yeah, he's no longer allowed at TD.
Why would you risk a lifetime ban from your teams? Like, forget the just don't be fucking racist asshole thing, but like,
yeah. And I looked at it. I said, dude, I said, what was the point? I said, we're up 30 right now. I said we've already beaten them in the playoff series. Like, why would we be so concerned about that? But I don't know. I think some people just can't let the shit go. You would have thought Kyrie shot their dog. Like it's insane. It's ridiculous.
I know. You're not wrong. I mean, it's like I think it's a problem in the whole. It's still a problem in the entire league. It's like we get shit for it, but.
But even when I went to games in Miami, like I just never. Their biggest issue was that fans would show up super late.
I know.
Those that are listening to this, you know it's not the truth. There's a lot more traffic on Biscayne Boulevard than there is Causeway Street, and I get it. But yeah, they would just show up late, and there's like a nightclub in the arena, so it's crazy. So it's a lot going on that has nothing to do with basketball. So
yeah. All right. Well, we're at that time again, sir. Unfortunately, Bobby's kids got sick, so we can't get him on record for this prediction. But here's it's probably our last show before we actually tip off the regular NBA season. So we predicted a lot about the Celtics. We've speculated a lot. I'd like to know how many games you think we're going to win.
Yeah, so I'm going to go with 65-17.
Wow. That would be really great.
Yeah.
I think that puts us as number one in the East, though, and I think you were saying.
Oh yeah, I mean, unless Dame and Giannis say we want 70 wins, which I mean is feasible with them two at the helm. Yeah, I mean, great. They get the 1 seed, great. Once again, Joe Mazzulla talked about that. He was like, imagine if we were the 1 seed and lost to Milwaukee in the first round. I mean, Milwaukee, to Miami in the first round.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm not here having this conversation with you, and I'm like, you know what? He's aware. I'm glad that he knows that because we would have been at TD Garden with the fucking pitchfork saying, "Hey, my brother in Christ, you got to go." So 65-17. You get the 1 seed, and we're gonna restore order in TD Garden. And when people come into that building, they know what there's hell to pay.
It is going to be about those homestands. That was a very rational and an informed prediction. And I'd like to do the same thing. I'd like to really not make this ridiculous because I'd like to stay right on line with that sort of reserved but well-informed and an optimistic prediction. We're going 82-0, and I'm not going to hear anything else about it. That's my official prediction. 82-0. This is the 82-0 podcast now until such time as we lose a game. Knock on wood. I hope everybody stays healthy. I hope everybody listening to this stays healthy. And Ray, thank you so much for coming on. And we did this shit again. And we'll see you in a few weeks. Peace.
Welcome to Ringside with Ray and Prince. My name is Ray Leonard Jr.
Oh, is that the set? No, that's just my dad.
My name is Prince Daniels Jr.
Daniels again with a big home touchdown.
On this show, we come to humanize
athletes, entertainers, business executives. We're going to see what makes them tick.
Tuesdays, 10 a.m. Pacific time on Spotify, Apple, Amazon, and wherever you get your podcasts.
We'll see you there. Peace and power.
Electricast.
Miles, are you ready to record our promo for Season 2 of the Wanna Bet podcast?
David, have you ever seen a grown man naked?
Miles, we're not here to quote lines from Airplane. We're here to tell people that Season 2 starts August 18th.
But I like Airplane.
I know you do, but Wanna Bet is a sports betting podcast. Each week we bet $1,000 on the NFL teams and games that we love.
Well, that sounds like fun.
It is fun. And last year you picked over 60% of your games correctly.
How'd you do?
We're not talking about that. We are telling people that they can find us every Friday. So no more movie quotes.
Roger.
Electricast. Electricast.